Hello everybody. Today we're doing a very special version of a Before You Buy. We're taking a look today at Horus Stun. We're going to do it a different way. We're going to do it in person / in paper deck profile, and then we're going to transition over to a game to show you what it's like to play with it before we give our review. So hopping right into that deck profile. Getting into the deck profile, we've got 3 of our King Sarcophagus, 1 of our Terraforming, and 3 Walls of our Imperial Tomb, along with the best starter, 3 of our Imseti Glory of Horus. Our Imseti has the effect that he can discard himself and 1 other card to add the King Sarcophagus and draw a card. The one thing we really don't want getting hit by Ash, but we always try to lead with it. That way, if they do have Droll, we're not dead in the water. And that extra draw can come up pretty big. Our Walls next to Terraforming is one of our worst starters because it can die easily to Droll, where if we add our Imseti and then don't have access to our King Sark already, then if they Droll us at that point, we're pretty much dead in the water because we won't have any other way of dumping our guys. Don't really like to lead with it, but if it's the only thing we have, then it's the only thing we have. Same goes with Terraforming. Our King Sarcophagus, unless they have Ghost Ogre, we're in a pretty good position. Gives our Horus monsters non-targeting destruction protection, along with, during battle, once per turn, we can send a card that's battling one of our Horus boys to the grave. So now getting into our one-ofs of our Horus monsters, we have 1 Happy, probably our best one outside of Imseti, 1 Queb, probably our worst one, 1 Domitef, the other arguable second best one, and then 1 Horus the Black Flame Deity. Our Horus the Black Flame Deity, 2 effects to go over. He does have the first effect to send 1 card that we control or in our hand to the grave, to non-targeting send 1 card on the field to the grave. Some very good removal, and if we have our Walls of the Imperial Tomb up, then we'll get a draw 1 off of it as well to replace that card that we lost. We have to send one of our Horus guys, like in a turn 3 scenario. That's not much of a loss at all, because then we can just revive our other guys. Our Domitef, the Blessing of Horus. This guy, whenever one of our cards leaves the field by our opponent's card effect, we get to draw cards equal to the amount of different names in our main monster zone. Quite frequently, this ends with a draw 4 or draw 3, where we'll draw into our own engine, which we'll go over here in a later date. That's why he's arguably probably our second best one. Depends on the scenario for if he or Happy's better, so chain blocking wise. Sometimes it's an argument if you just have him, Happy, and like an Imseti up as to which one you want to lead with. Our Quebnequef, if that's how it's pronounced, I'm not too sure. Quite the confusing name, to be completely honest. But whenever one of our cards leaves the field by our opponent's card effect, he basically gives our Horus monsters some towers-like protection where they can't be targeted by card effect or targeted for attacks. So, in combination with King Sark, basically makes them unaffected. Definitely by destruction effects. Then basically you're surviving a turn usually if you're able to activate this and have more than just him on the field. And then our Happy, we are playing Desires, so we'll talk about it a little bit more later. But whenever one of our cards leaves the field by our opponent's card effect, you know the drill. We are able to target 2 cards either in the banished zone, can target face down banished, engrave, and then we can either add it back to our hand or put it back in the deck. We can target our opponent's cards as well, so it could either be a disruption in the form of removing some of their cards in the grave, or give us some of our desired off hand traps, or our King Sark dumped hand traps, whatever we need to do to finish the game on turn 3, or make sure that we don't die during the turn 2 if we are going second, or if we're going first, whatever. Moral of the story, he's a good boy. He's a good boy. I considered bumping him up to 2, and we can talk about that a little bit more later, because if we do have to lead with the Desires, I would like to make sure we at least have access to him. That way we can start fetching back some of those resources. Now getting into some of our techs, we are playing 1, 2, 3 Kashtira Fenrir. Good going first, good going second. Another big body, because we're also playing skill drains. Now, our Fenrir, the reason why I wouldn't change him for something else is because there's been a lot of games where just being able to banish something face down has been super, super relevant and important. So I wouldn't take out this choice. I think that this is pretty vital. I've thought about moving him for something else, but his removal ability has just been too important in most of the matches I've come across to actually take him out. 3 of our skill drain. So the reason behind, well, let's also throw it into our Tikaboo. The reason for playing these and kind of the goal of the deck is to send away all of your Horus monsters and then end with 1 card in hand. That 1 card being something super impactful like a Tikaboo or skill drain or a nib. Something that they have to out or play around in case of the nib. But preferably something that they have to out. So they're inclined to have to get rid of this, and in doing so that procs all of our guys' effects. And when they proc our effects, that's when we really get rolling. We'll get the draw 4 off of Domatef. We'll get the add 2 back by Happy. And then it's basically game by that point because we're, as you'll soon see, playing quite a few hand traps. So we're going to be able to end anything that they're trying to do. We'll also have 1 Called by the Grave because in the event that we have to lead with like a Walls or a Terraforming, this protects us from Droll or the 1 hand trap that we actually care about in Ash. So if we could play more of this, I totally would, just because of how fragile our starters are, and just by the fact that they are our only possible starters. You have to play this. Have to. Now we have our, as I guess you can call them, our fun cards. This is almost more so our engine. But we got 3 of our Droll and Lockbird, 3 of our Nibiru, 3 of our Infect Veiler. May I also just say real fast. Platinum Rare, best rarity. And that is on my mama. Three Ash. 3 Imperm. So our last card is the Snow Rabbit, right? And so I'm only playing 1 copy of it just because it was meant to be a 3rd Desires, but I only had 2. Well, 2 Ultimate Rares, and I didn't want to play a different one. But I did end up picking up some Secret Rares, so I'm going to slot that in place of it, I think. That's what I've been testing with online. When I did draw Ogre, I didn't necessarily hate that it was an Ogre instead of a Desires, and I don't know how I feel about 3 Pot of Desire. So it's an argument you can make, and I want to say that this is maybe a free spot. I just don't like having 3 Desires for whatever reason. I just feel like that card is something that I like to play too. But this is kind of to go along with our colloquially named Horus Stun, along with our Floodgates, because you're still stunting your opponent with all these hand traps that we're playing. And so the theory is basically that you get all your big boys and you plop them down, and they've got good effects in of themselves, but all we really need is just that 1 card starter to get 4 of our big huge boys on the field that we then can toolbox in our extra if we absolutely need to. I didn't go into the extra at Locas at all, and we didn't go undefeated with it, so it shows that we didn't need to, but you can. But yeah, so the whole theory of the deck is just to get it to a very simple game state and punch with your big guys that have great effects if your opponent does have a way to remove 1 or any of them, along with the never-ending recursion that they provide with the Walls and King Sark. Quite frequently, whenever they remove our King Sark, because that's usually one of the first things that they do remove, we just add it and 1 other card back with our Happy, and then we draw, and it's almost game at that point. Very, very good deck. So our last cards, our 2 Pot of Desires. The reason why we're calling it a game ender, as you can see down below, is because if we're in a position that we've already dumped all of our engine, we don't care about what we lose out of our deck. So we Desires and we draw into either our hard Floodgates, like our Skill Drain and Tikaboo, or 2 more hand traps that would be used to stun our opponent's turn. And at that point, once we have our Horus monsters on field, that'll be able to get advantage when our opponent has to remove something eventually. It's basically game over, because them playing through those extra 2 disruptions that we're going to be drawing off of this, on top of the draw that we're going to be getting from Domatef and the add back off of the Happy, it's basically game. And now we're going to get into our side deck, because arguably it's more important than our extra, because we almost never go into our extra. But so for our side, we do have 3 Ghost Bell. We've got 3 Secret Village. The Secret Village, whenever we see it on top of our way to start / a starter, that's why it's called a starter, we do basically win the game. 3 Solemn Judgment. This is just because we lose hard too evenly. Theoretically, since this is in our side deck, it's something we have to side in. So at that point, we're siding against Secret Village. And so if we see the Secret Village, we're not losing spells. If we see the Solemn Judgment, then we're not losing to Evenly. Speaking of which, 3 Evenly, because I think it is the best mass removal in the game. Not a whole lot of decks do put out hard negation, and if they don't, Evenly super punishes it. For instance, our deck. For instance, Kashtira. Then 3 Cosmic. The reason why we're playing the Cosmic and the Bell is just because I absolutely hate Labyrinth, and too many people play Labyrinth. They need to stop playing Labyrinth, because I hate it. And we do everything in our power to destroy them. And then lastly, we have our extra deck. As you can see, I have put that it does not matter, because it almost really doesn't. You're basically just playing any sort of good rank 8 that you have and some Link monsters. In all the times of me playing this game in person and online, I've maybe gone into the extra deck once out of the 10-ish so games that we've done, and I didn't really necessarily even need to win. I just did so to make the game go by a little faster. We've got number 62, because I think it's funny, and I pulled a lot of these from Photon Hypernova, and I just wanted to finally play it and put it in a deck. That's honestly the complete answer to it. 2 Dingirsu. This is one of the actual ones that you'll make occasionally, just because it has a very good sending ability / a good removal. Also looks super cool. But that one's super good. I like it a lot. We also do have a Zeus, or 2, because kind of like Nib, it is one of the other super good sending effects / removal options. I have not made the Zeus since playing the deck, but it of course could come up. Our 1 Hope Harbinger. This would be for like any sort of case where you are in maybe like a turn 4/5 or 3, and you're able to completely break their board, but you know that they search like some sort of spell follow-up, and them activating it could cause you to lose the game. You're gonna want to end on this, so that way you can remove it, or can deal with it, I should say. Once again, like I was saying, I didn't actually ever make it, but theoretically, good card. We do have 1, the Zombie Vampire. Haven't ever made it in this deck. I don't really necessarily see a reason to make it in this deck. Because if you are able to at least get 2 Horus monsters, overlaying them for this to try and get into the other 2 just doesn't necessarily seem worth it. So in our last 2 XCs, and these are placeholders, is our Coach King Giant Trainer, our time card. And then our number 68, I believe it is. Yeah, our number 68, our Sky Prison. Sky Prison is for the mirror match. And like I said, the Coach Trainer is our time card. Our Sky Prison, you detach 1. Neither player can summon out a grave until it goes back to your turn. And that just completely kills the Horus deck. And we've already summoned, so we're fine. We play under it. BLS is actually also a good card. Like I said, I haven't used this extra deck really, but I could see this one coming up too. And then we do have a Dark Selene, an access code package, just because this easily does make access code. Amseti's a spellcaster. You use it to make dark. Use that dark to make the Selene. Selene, you go into the access code. A lot of damage fast. Our Underworld Goddess. Take out the tower's monsters because we don't have any way of searching at kaiju or anything like that, so it's needed. And then we do have 1 Little Knight. It's a good card. Whenever I found myself in a position that I had to make it, though, I was kind of losing it regardless of what happened. So although it's a good card, if you're in a position where you're having to make it in this deck, you're probably going to lose, to be honest. And our Field Center, we just had to show it off because we love Ecclesia. About to do some gold ranked to give y'all a feel. Alright, so going second, and we didn't draw any of our millionth hand traps, so let's see how this plays out for us. Looks like we're up against just a... oh. Some Earthbounds. Some Earthbound Runics. Haven't done too much testing against this Earthbound Runic deck, so we'll see what they're all able to do. I'm honestly unsure. But a Baron's always decent. Maybe we'll draw into an Imperm off the top. Simply they have another Fountain in hand, so they won't be able to get a draw 2. A draw 3. Just draw 2. Okay. Harmonic synchrofusion. A Stapelia and a Danglong. What a weird deck. But I kind of dig it. No fast effects, sir. No, sir. No, sir. Well, let's lead off with... I'm thinking we lead off with Imseti, because I don't think they're going to be negating either of these. They might, though. Let's lead with the walls, actually. Let's see if they do anything here. Okay, they don't do anything to the walls activation. Sure. Just some hand traps. So that's our only spell and trap removal, so we should be fine as long as we can proc out those two. Maybe we can get... Well, we'll see what happens here. So I'm not too sure. Skill drain might just get us killed unless we're able to remove anything, so I'm thinking let's lead with that. This will probably get Baroned. Or it'll get 9 pillars. Just a Domatef. That's fine. That's also fine. Okay. Nothing that we care too much about so far. I hate that they're going to be able to draw 2 more here, but we do have everything to play. It's going to have to be happy. You should Draco Stapelia this. That'd be a really good idea. Happy, come forth. Sure. I wonder if they'll have a second Draco Stapelia. I highly doubt it. What a board. What an end board. A Little Knight and a King Sark, which I'm sure they'll be able to remove. Yep, there it is. We'll simply draw into another one. 1, 2, 3 of ours. 4, 5. 5 of them are gone though. What about terraforming and terraforming? It's not looking good. Sure, summon your runic monster. Let's get rid of the Danglong. what does this do? Banish a special summon Earthbound from hand or grave. Okay. Why did that get banished? I mean, realistically, we're not probably going to be drawing into another horse thing anytime soon. Okay, so we decided in Secret Village, Solemn and Bell took out Droll, Skill Drain, and our Nibs. Let's see how it goes. You're able to dump the whole lot. And this is our quintessential horse board. What I love is just how fast your turn just is. Just send them all away, and with what you got. Hate a forbidden droplet though. We still have some pretty decent interaction. Imagine, yeah, send off to probably Happy and the Domatoff, I'd imagine. Just to stop my advantage. Ooh. Keeping up with Domatoff is interesting. Okay. Fine with this. We fine with it so far. Sure. Goodbye, Mr. Terraforming. I do have something for that. My one of Ogre. Love this boy. Or girl, sorry. Or Snow Rabbit, sorry. Sure. Easy. Too easy.
Come on, man! That's too easy!
Okay, so we're trying this. So we took out the Secret Village, Solemn, and we also took out our Desires and their Chameleon one. We put in Evenly, Cosmic, and I think that was it. Let's see how game 3 goes. Not my favorite hand. There is Sleipnir. I don't know what all to try and stop here, but I think this is going to be one of the things I'll try and stop. Or Chaos Angel, okay. Interesting. Oh. Oh, okay. Yes, sir. Oh. What an interesting hand. What an absolutely interesting hand.
Interesting.
I've never seen a more interesting hand in my entire life. Okay. Let's bring out the boys. We could definitely go for lethal if we summon this, but we planned a nib. And they must have something back there. But we ball. What you got? Not nib. Alright. Go ahead and get him out of the way. Easy. I think this is a very good showcasing. So there we have our first match against a Runic Earthbound deck. We even lost the dice roll and had a terrible game one, but just with the amount of stuff that we're able to side in, the amount of hand traps we have, we did see some game two or game three, as we were bound to, and completely paid off. The one of Ghost Ogre and Snow Rabbit came in clutch. Whenever I see the card, it seems to completely do exactly what it was meant to do. So I love it. I wouldn't change anything about this list so far. There you go. We are currently, so we won 4. This is now the 5th match online that I've won with it. We won 3 in person, and then we drew 1. So 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 wins, 1 tie with this deck. Literally have not lost with it yet. Kind of speaks for itself. Back with the full deck, let's give our final rating. So our meta ability, I am gonna give it a 9 out of 10. I think this deck is really good. I think it's super slept on. Like I said, I haven't lost with it yet. Only drew once, and it was simply because I didn't have this Coach King Giant Trainer. But if I had him, literally wouldn't have had a loss with it. I like it a lot. It does a lot of good things. Fun level. I think the fun level is... So this is where it's really going to vary for people, because this deck really is a very, very simple deck, and I could see combo people not liking this at all because it's really simple, and I could get someone saying, oh, this is brain dead. I personally really love the playstyle of it, so on a personal level, I'm giving the fun level a 10 out of 10 for me. But I think generally overall, the average person, I mean, you'll win with it, so you'll have fun winning. But it's not like there's too many diverging lines that you can do or explore. So I think generally I'd give the fun level a 6 for like an average person. Once again, I would give it a 10 for me. Power, fun, price point. So cost / price rating. Once again, like some of the other things I did, I'm gonna remove the SP. With the SP, it's 503, but I'm gonna remove the SP, and I'm gonna just remove the SP. So you take away the SP, because the one time I made it, we lost with it. As I was saying, the card literally does. If you're in a position where you're making that card, you're not winning. So outside of that, total deck costs $375. But that's almost all in the Horus stuff. So if we take out everything but the Horus stuff, because generally people are gonna have most of these hand traps. We'll leave in Fenrir too, because you might not have a Fenrir. So you take out all the hand traps, we're looking at $331. And for a deck as good as this is, and for one that's definitely not going to get hit on the next ban list, if anything gets hit, it's going to be a Fenrir. But even though you did see us win simply playing Fenrir control, we could probably find something else to supplement it with that wouldn't be as good, but we could find something. And it's not like Fenrir's going to get banned. Maybe it might get like a limit to 2 or something like that. Definitely not going to get banned. So for 331 and a deck as good as it is, I'm going to give it a 9 because it's much, much cheaper than a Fire King deck, and you're going to have it for sure for more than just this next ban list completely untouched. And not necessarily does it ever, it doesn't necessarily get better, but it's going to stay the same, and you can always flip out / swap any of those tech choices that we have. The only mandatory deck space is about 16. If you really don't want to play Fenrir, which you really, really, really should, then you're looking at 13 cards that you can basically do whatever you want with. 14, because you kind of need that terraforming. Silly level. Sadly, this one's not that silly, so it's gonna get a 2 for silly, because the only silly thing is I think Horus, the Black Flame Deity. It's silly to summon him and send every monster on a field to the grave. That's a little silly. Other than that, sadly, not too silly. Let's get in Hannah for the penultimate ratings. Hannah!
Okay, everyone. So, Derek gave me the rundown. He said that it's a really good deck, so Metability will give it a 9.6 out of 10 because I know these cards and I think that they are good cards. So yeah, fun rating, let's give it a 7 out of 10 because I personally hate getting impermed and nibbed, so to do that to other people would be really fun for me. So yeah, price 0 out of 10, -7 out of 10 if you could. $300 just for the main deck. That's like half of rent. So yeah, price sucks. Sillies. Unfortunately, I think I'm gonna have to give the sillies like a 1 out of 10 because there's nothing here that is sillies. Yeah, none of this is just sillies. None of them are cuties. They're not silly. And yeah, so not very silly, but yeah, pretty good deck, I guess. Derek said he didn't lose. So yeah. Thank you again for watching. Yeah. Bye.